Welcome, boys and girls, cats, kittens, and children of all ages. I'm sorry, it was my fault that I put up the wrong time. So we are starting now for The Mandalorian, Season 2, Chapter 12.
You're fired.
Yes, I am fired.
Finally.
But I'll rehire myself because I've been putting in good work. So there, I put myself on probation for a day. There we go. Our probation is going to be playing some PS5 tonight after the show. So that's probation. So that's my punishment for the night. So let's get into the woman who's thicker than a bowl of oatmeal, Cara Dune, because she was looking pretty good. Like, thick
no complaints from me. I'm a big fan.
Look, wherever she's eating.
I mean, I'm a big fan.
Ryan was fan serviced on this episode.
I was. They serviced me.
I'm a fan. Service me.
I like that opening scene. I learned what the name of that race was, and then I forgot it. What are they called, Ryan?
Which ones?
The big tooth people.
The big
the big tusks.
Yeah. Aqualish.
Oh, Aqualish. Okay.
Or Aqualish.
I thought you were about to say Welsh. I was like, ooh,
no, that's the one. I mean, I guess it's tusks, but to me, it looks like a butt crack on his face. You know?
Yeah.
It looks like a little baby's butt crack on his face. Yeah. Same race that was giving Luke crap in A New Hope, right?
I don't know. Are they the same as It's not the same as Walrus Man, is it?
Yes, Walrus Man. Yes. It is. They just had crazier hair. Walrus Man, he didn't have a bunch of hair like that.
I like this episode. It harkened back to like New Hope and towards that new junk.
Yeah,
I forget the name of it.
And some old school video games that we're going to get into.
Yes, indeed.
Which was really cool. It also may have tied into the sequel trilogy. However you feel about that. I mean, whatever. I'll never watch a sequel trilogy again, but I mean, if they want to try to
the new 3 that they came up with, I don't know what those. You know what? It's so bad. I'll go back and watch George Lucas's prequels before I go back and watch these.
Yeah, I watch the prequels at least once a year. They're great movies. Dante, what are you trying to say?
I say I watch Die Hard for Christmas, but people don't consider Christmas movies. So.
Yeah, Chapter 12, The Siege.
Dun, 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 dun.
Directed by one Carl Weathers, a.k.a. Apollo Creed, a.k.a. Grief Karga.
Yep.
I think it was on par with last week's episode. I thought it was almost as good.
Yes.
As the Bo-Katan episode. Maybe just as good.
Yeah.
We're definitely getting into the meat of the story here. Not just for season 2, but it seems like the whole series, up to this point at least. They could go in a totally different direction maybe next season if they wrap all this up. I hope they don't, because I don't think we have 4 episodes left this season. That's really not enough to wrap up everything with Baby Yoda and Moff Gideon.
I doubt it, just the way that things are going, because I have a feeling. Well, when we get to that part at the end of the episode, because I think I have a feeling what's going to happen from what you told me about Ahsoka.
I've got some theories. Yeah, I've definitely got some theories. But he ends up going back to Navarro, which is the home base of Grief Karga, and now Marshal Dune. She's the marshal of Navarro, or that town. Did they name the town? I should know that.
I think they did. I forget what the name of it was again.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to say I remember what it's called, but no.
We'll just call it Crime Alley for now.
Crime Alley on Navarro.
It was cleaned up. It was cleaned up by Marshall Dune.
Yeah. So they limp into town with the Razor Crest.
Yes.
That's tied together with fishnets.
Literally limping.
Yeah. And Grief Karga meets him at the gate and offers to fix the ship. But of course, in return, he needs some help.
Right. Well, you know what's going to surprise me about that? He was super happy to see the child.
Yeah, he was like Sam Jackson in Captain Marvel with the cat.
Yeah, I was like, yo, like you were just fussing about this kid. Now you're super happy to see him. Like, yo, like, come on.
Yeah.
That's a 360 right there.
Do the magic hand thing.
Right. Come on,
Yeah.
need you do your mad hands.
Yeah, so he sends a couple mechanics over to fix, and the one guy they zoom in on as Mandalorian walks away. And so that's a little foreshadowing of what's to come. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but he's the same alien race as Ochi from Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know. You know,
I didn't notice that.
He looked familiar.
Yeah, I didn't notice that either. Someone had to point it out to me because I've only seen Rise of Skywalker once. But apparently he was the guy that killed Rey's parents on the ship.
Really?
Yeah. Now, I don't know if that's the same character or if it's being set up to be the same character as the one that's in the Rise of Skywalker. But it could be because he plants a tracker on the Razor Crest. They want that baby Yoda.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
They still want that baby. And we find out why. And it kind of makes a lot of sense. And it gives me even more speculation on who Baby Yoda is or what he is.
Real quick, Torian around said he's going to make a stew with him.
Yeah. Throw a couple eggs in there.
Yeah, Bugs Bunny them up.
Yeah. Couple blueberry macaroons on the side. Good stuff.
It was funny. They dropped him off in the school, and the kids were like, yo, who's this mofo? And this little mofo, once again, stole somebody's cookies.
Well, hey, he's this little kid. He's hungry. And this other little kid, he's being a little brat, and he won't share his freaking blueberry.
Because I want to share my damn cookies with you. I don't know who you are. I don't know what
He's just a little kid. You can't just give him just one cookie.
This mofo came from outer space. I don't know what space rabies he's got.
Shouldn't be eating in class anyway.
Right.
He shouldn't be eating in class.
So,
by the way, that class seemed way out of his league. Like, Baby Yoda can't even talk yet.
So did anybody else besides my girlfriend spot the mistake that they shot in that classroom scene?
Was it on the map?
Nope.
No, man. Lay it on us because I didn't see it.
I missed it.
Anybody in the chat? Anybody in the chat catch it? So the editor or continuity director screwed up at least twice in this film or this episode because we know what's coming because it's all over social media about the jeans guy.
Right.
Okay, so this is the other screw up that they did is when you see the kid eating the cookies.
Mm-hmm.
When the child sits down, there's no cookies on his desk, and then the kid takes out the cookies. They're on his desk, and then he starts to eat them. And he's got a cookie in his hand. When they pan back from the droid's point of view, they're shooting through the map to the kids at their desks. There's no cookies on the kid's desk anymore. Then they go back to the close up with the child and the kid, and you can see the cookies, and the kid in one shot has a cookie, like a half-eaten cookie in his hand, and then in the next shot, his hands are together. There's no cookie in his hand, and then it goes back to the cookie in his hand. And then it goes to the child having the cookies on his desk. So that they totally fucked up the continuity in that shot.
I might have to go back and watch that because I did not.
I pulled it up right now, and you're totally right.
Yep.
I got it playing. Yeah, that's funny. But come on, man. He just wants a blueberry macaroon. He has a whole package. He has a whole sleeve of Oreos.
Man, I don't care what he's got. Yo, I'm not sharing my cookies with some little mofo that might have some space rabies. I don't know where you came from. I don't know who your daddy is. I don't know who your mommy is. I don't even know where the hell you just rolled out of.
But you ain't
from this planet.
You're not eating the kid's leftovers. You're just giving him one. You're not going to get anything from that.
I don't care. See, that's how
you're a very unkind person.
I don't know this kid.
You don't have any empathy.
They just dropped him off and put him in the seat. That's it.
That's true. They did do that.
Yeah, he'll be all right with the kid. He'll be all right in school. School? This motherfucker can barely talk, man. In fact, you need to teach him how to talk. That's what the first. You need to teach him some damn words. That's what you need to do.
Well, apparently, Baby Yoda had enough because he used the dark side to pull those cookies over to his desk.
Sure is. There you go. Sith Lord.
That is stealing, right? It's immoral and evil. So that's the dark side. So this kid's a dark side user.
This is one of the times I wish Qui-Gon Jinn was still alive, so he can start like berating people with his words. It's like, we don't use that we don't use the Force like that, young one.
I will find you and I will kill you.
Right. I got a particular set of skills. I'm a Jedi. But I got killed by a dude with double blades in the first movie.
Yep.
How am I space racist? I don't know this kid from where he came from.
So
we forgot to talk about we forgot to talk about the kid trying to repair his ship.
Oh my goodness. You know what? Now that I think about it, that almost reminded me of a scene out of Gremlins.
Yeah. It's hilarious that this kid is 50 years old, yet he doesn't speak a word of English, I guess. Yeah. He doesn't speak any verbal language, and then he probably doesn't understand the difference between red and blue.
Sure did.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he got it wrong, but I think he's starting to understand.
He might be
language,
colorblind too. I feel bad if he is.
Yeah. Paul Hughes said BYLM. I think that means Baby Yoda live.
I'm a spacist now. Look, let me see somebody roll from you from space. You're gonna be sharing your cookies with them. Okay, let me see how that goes. They touch you, like, oh man, what you got? Case of space herpes.
Just saying, he's being a little greedy with the cookies, but we should move on from that.
Yeah. Little mofo.
It also seems like Baby Yoda's, he's like, I won't say he's talking more, but he's making more sounds. You know?
He is.
It's like cooing almost. So he is developing. Like, I don't know what the span of this show is from the first episode to this 12th episode.
Yeah.
But you are seeing, it seems like a little bit of development in that way.
Yeah.
So, of course, the Mando is given. Yeah,
I'm a MacGuffin.
Yeah. Well, it's like, yeah, we'll fix your ship, but we need your help. Come on, help us.
Here's your MacGuffin.
There's this Imperial base, and we got to take it out. So we have, like, for once and all, peace on Navarro. And, Grief Karga can be the next Lando of Cloud City on Navarro.
And that's one of my only complaints about the episode is that they repair his ship way too fast. It would have made a lot. They could have fixed that with one sentence. They could have said, Grief Karga could have said, we'll do all this planning, and then we'll go first thing in the morning. That way they could have worked on his ship overnight, because it made it sound like he landed. They threw the kid in the school. They ran to the fucking base, blew it up, and then came back, and his ship was magically fucking fixed in like 2 hours.
Well, how long? He was on the other planet for a night, wasn't he? Repaired his other ship. I
think there could have been a span of time in there that they just kind of skipped over.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I could have explained it with one sentence. They said, okay, first thing tomorrow morning, we're going to go attack this base.
Yeah.
John Papa Surgeon says, how much time has passed? They were able to repair the entire ship so quickly? 30 minutes?
Yeah, exactly. Like his ship barely fucking made it there. And then it looked like a complete piece of shit. And then it was like flawless when he left.
And then also, how long did it take to travel to that Imperial base?
Right.
If you look, they showed the town they were in, and then it showed like half the planet away.
Right, but when at the end, like when they're escaping, like it's like not even that close away. Like, okay, we got maybe like 10 more minutes before we get back to the back to the main place.
He's able to fly all the way across the planet with his jetpack. Like, how much fuel does that fucking thing hold?
That's the same. Yo, that thing seems like it never runs out of freaking fuel. Like he's like.
He must fill it full of that hyper fuel from the Solo movie.
There's gotta be.
Yeah.
It's gotta be.
But the whole timeline thing has been really kind of fudged ever since the original trilogy.
Well, look, Carl was like, I got 38 minutes of this episode to direct. All right. So,
yeah.
Past the time, everybody, I think time has passed when we get the shit back in the episode again. So, and they'll forget all about it. They won't really question it. Mando. That's how
I don't think Star Wars is a good thing to try to measure,
reality.
Reality, exactly. Like
because there's no in real space. There's no fire or explosions or sound, but you get all that shit in Star Wars.
If they were to go to light speed and throw light speed for 10 minutes, well, the planet they just left behind they've just passed like 50 years.
Yeah.
So it's science and time. It's like just go with it.
Yeah.
I think it depends on who's directing the episode too, honestly. Because like last week, it kind of made sense. Like, okay, it's a little bit of time has passed by. Well, I should say not directing. Well, writing and directing, I should say. They show like time progression.
Mm-hmm.
Like Carwell's, I guess maybe because his time was shorter, maybe he had to fit more into it. Because I think this episode was like 38 minutes.
Yeah, that's with the recap.
Okay.
With the recap and credits, it was actually I got it right here. It's
like 31 was the episode prior.
Yeah, it's
about
shorter. Right. It's about 39 minutes long, but you have the intro and the recap and then the credits included in that 39. So it's probably about 32 minutes, I'd say 33.
Which it kind of boggles me too. Like you have like a full hour. You should be able to have flesh out the story in like a full hour. Like there's no reason to rush the story in like a 30-minute. Like it's not 30-minute episodes. Like you have an hour. Like make it an hour. Like,
I think it's budget. They probably trying to keep it like 45 minutes or less.
You know what's going to make the money back and more? So I don't know why they even see.
I mean, season 1 was $10 million an episode, which is unheard of for television.
Disney got the money. I don't care. I don't want to hear about
it. Not anymore. Disney's bleeding.
Yeah,
it's true. Bleeding cash.
Well, but because
that's beside the point.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of like the quick get the story, get it over with, move on to the next one, even though we're getting one episode a week, which I also like. I like the anticipation. I like the time to theory craft of what's going to happen. I really like the way they're doing it.
Yeah.
Me and my girlfriend usually watch about 3 times before the next one.
Yeah. Like with Stranger Things, I'll watch the whole season in like 2 days. And in a month, I've forgotten everything, So, like, what the last season they did was season 3. I don't remember what happened. So,
yeah. All right,
but anyway, so they got to go to this Imperial base, which looks a lot like the Imperial base from the video game Dark Forces. And I think that was a bit of foreshadowing because of something we see later. So they want to go to this Imperial base that Grief Karga said was pretty much abandoned. It was a skeleton crew.
Skeleton crew, yeah.
Yeah, but they get there and it turns out, there's a lot of stormtroopers or cannon fodder, which is what stormtroopers always become. And it was the return of Horatio Sands.
Yeah.
As the blue guy, the blue salamander. I don't know what he is.
Yeah.
Let's see, what was his name?
Amphibian.
Yeah. Mithril, yeah. That was the return of him, and he was wearing a moisture suit to keep him moist.
Yes.
Because when it's like, right?
Yep. He's like, oh, shit. What did I do now?
He pissed himself.
At first, I thought he was like leaking, like out of his gills or something. Like that's what they do when they get scared, like, But
he farted.
Right. Yeah, it's like wearing hip waders, fishing. Fart. Ain't nowhere for it to go but up.
Right.
But I actually liked Horatio Sands in this episode a lot more than I did the first episode he was in. I don't know. Something was a little off about him in the first episode. Chapter 1, he was more to me like a Star Trek character than Star Wars. But this one I thought it worked. And then
Yeah,
he
he's
mentioned being in carbonite, and he had still not gained his eyesight back in his eye. Like he only had one good eye,
Yep.
which was, a callback to Han Solo in Return of the Jedi, when he, it took him a while to regain his eyesight. Of course, Han Solo was in carbonite probably a lot longer
Yeah.
than Mithril.
That still gets me. He's like, I can't see. Who is that? He's touching
Yeah.
the face. Like, this is how I see you.
And Mithril is like an indentured servant.
Yeah, he was paying off his debt. He's
paying off his debt to Moff Gideon.
But you're gonna give him the same job though?
Yeah, he was their Uber driver this time.
No, he was still Remember when they got there, he was still like I guess like the banker, like the accountant.
Yeah,
the accountants, I should say, the accountant. And you're gonna give this man, the man already cheated you. You're gonna give him the same damn job again.
Yep.
Okay.
Maybe they put a restraining bolt on him this time, so he couldn't.
Didn't seem like, because he was about to dip out of there in that speeder.
Yeah, he wanted to, but they kept, Grief Karga kept on knocking time off of his sentence, which was like 300 years.
Right.
He was knocking off like 40 years here, and it was funny. I thought that was comedy in Star Wars done well.
It was. I enjoyed it. It was very funny. I liked how it was going. And see, this is an episode that shows that you don't need the child everywhere to make it a good episode.
He wasn't really in it that much. He was in the beginning and a little at the end, which I'm good with, But I think we're going to get a lot more story from him, because it turned out this Imperial base wasn't a base. It was a lab, and they were working on stuff.
Sorry, real quick question for John Pop Sergio. He says, here's a good question. ESB, it said that the carbonite was never used on living subjects. So then how does Mandalorian know to do that?
Well, that was kind of, maybe not in that facility, but they used carbonite in the Clone Wars as well. They used it on the Jedi to infiltrate a prison. They froze them in carbonite so that they wouldn't be detected as life forms on this ship. So carbonite has been used, to freeze people, to store people. But I think maybe for the Cloud City facility, that maybe that was the first time, or maybe just Lando wasn't familiar with it, but Vader knew. It was his idea, and Anakin, Vader, was one of the ones frozen in carbonite in the Clone Wars. So it makes sense that he would know about it, and then maybe Boba Fett learned of it, and it kind of spread through through word of mouth, rumors, whatever, to other bounty hunters like the Mandalorian.
Yeah, I mean, because obviously Jabba the Hutt would know about it, and then word would travel on Tatooine and through the Hutts.
Yeah.
Dealings. When they discover that it's a lab, there's another possible scene that's a screw up. Horatio Sands is wearing blue contact lenses throughout the show, but in that scene when he is discovering the transmission to Moff Gideon, and they do a close up on him, his eyes look brown.
Probably reshoots.
Yeah, so, I would think the blue probably, because he was a blue hologram, so that might have made. So
no.
Wasn't he blue hologram?
Horatio Sands' character.
Right, that's what.
Yeah, his eyes are supposed to be blue. So if there was a scene,
the amphibian guy, I think they had him forgot. I think he forgot to put his contacts on.
Okay,
so,
gotcha.
Have you noticed a lot of goofs like this in the series before? Because you've noticed quite a few.
No.
So maybe it's all on Apollo Creed there.
Yeah, or his editor.
Yeah. Or what do they call the person on the set that's supposed to maintain the scene?
Continuity director.
Yeah, continuity director. Yeah.
Well, he's fired. He or she is fired.
maybe he had come down with COVID that week.
I don't know.
So, yeah.
Won't be continuity today.
Actually, they had wrapped filming on this season before the pandemic started here.
Yeah, makes sense.
So everything that they were working on during the pandemic was like post-production, special effects stuff. Oh yeah, John Papa Sergio said he really hopes we see the Mandalorian enter the ruins of Jabba's palace.
Ooh,
that would be cool. I'd be down. I would like to see maybe another Hutt came in and took over. or so just like another gangster or something. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, I wouldn't be. I'd be fine with it. Seeing more of the Hutts, they kind of roll through.
Well, we know from Clone Wars now that I've watched the first season. Jabba has a son.
Yeah. What was his name? Stinky.
Yeah.
Stinky. Oh, Rada.
Oh, okay.
Rada the Hutt, but I think Ahsoka called him Stinky.
Yep.
I haven't watched that first season in a long time. So yeah, their plan is to blow up this base, and the planet Navarro is kind of like a very volcanic planet.
Yeah.
And so their plan is to do something in the base with the lava and make it all blow up.
Drop the coolant, and so the lava can rise and destroy everything.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Which was a throwback to A New Hope when Obi-Wan was in there to shut down the Death Star.
Yeah.
And it's also scientifically sound. I work at a steel mill. If you get water under molten steel, you get a big explosion. So that makes sense. Of the coolant, under the lava, that would cause a huge explosion.
So also, it was a callback to Family Guy when they do the Star Wars episode. In Family Guy, they're talking about there's no fucking guardrails here.
Like, yeah. Yeah, Mithril, they wanted to go out on that control panel thing. The same exact thing that Obi-Wan went out on the Death Star.
Yeah.
There's the Empire is not up to OSHA standards by any means. There's no guardrails.
Twin Round did say that earlier. He's like he had him dying laughing. I forgot that was in Family Guy. It's been so long since I watched that one.
Yeah. Even like in other areas in the original trilogy, like where the laser comes down and they're like standing 3 feet from this massive green laser. There's no guardrail, and they're like the walkway is like a foot wide, and the guy's sitting on the control panel like, "Oh, it's cool."
Yo, I'd be like, honey, I might not be coming home today. These mofos ain't giving me shit. We ain't got no safety stands. I'll try to go talk to Vader, and my lieutenant keeps telling me about, look, I'll talk to him about these safety procedures later on. He says,
do you want me to get choked out?
Right.
Yeah. Vader chokes out his boss. He's like, okay, I'm good. I don't need a guardrail. But I'm going to make an anonymous call to OSHA.
No, he's like,
OSHA.
Fuck this. I'm calling the rebels, telling them where this shit's at. Blow this shit all up.
I like that they added that in. He's like, I'm afraid of heights and lava. Right. That was Mithril, Horatio Sands, the comic relief. Hey, you know what, man? Carl Weathers, he's like kind of comic relief too. He is really funny. He has good like comedic timing, I think. He was making me laugh.
Oh, Carl.
Yeah, this is a pretty funny episode.
Now, if he had Dolph Lundgren in there, that'd been awesome. Like, if he dies, he dies. I'm like, oh, shoot. Grief Karga might die this episode. Hold up.
Right. Been great if he said, Mando, you son of a bitch.
I would have done. I'm like, yo, I'm done this episode. I seen the Arca scene. That's it. I seen thick Cara Dune, and I just seen that scene. I'm done. I don't need to see no more.
Is that something you wanted to talk about, Dante? Thick Cara Dune?
Yo, Cara Dune got thicker, yo. I don't know what Gina's been eating, but she's looking thicker than a bowl.
She's been drinking all that spatchka.
Look, whatever it is, she can keep on doing what she's doing. She look good.
Red beans and rice.
Man. Catch me in the UFC ring with her. Woo! Sorry.
So
I say that out loud.
I don't remember exactly what order, whether they start the explosion first and then find the lab. Or they find the lab. They
start the explosion first, and then they find the lab. They fall upon the lab because they're like, "What are these? What these all look like clones?" But I try to stop it at the part to see if there was anything on the screen where he's like, "Destroy the hard drive, destroy everything."
Yeah, well, the two dudes were shooting the control panels with their blasters.
Yeah. They were trying to get rid of everything.
Yeah, I thought there was maybe something on the screen, but it wasn't. It looks like almost like another Death Star or a planet on there, but I couldn't really tell.
Maybe it was Star Killer Base.
It might have been.
Yeah.
That's a good, it might have been Star Killer Base.
Another thing I forgot to mention is there's also a callback to the old Kenner toys when they first get to the base up to the top level.
Mm-hmm.
That vehicle was not in the original trilogy, but it was made as a toy. It was called the Imperial Transport or something like that. And it was a toy. And
Oh.
Dave Filoni, as a kid, was such a fan of the toy that he brought it into Rebels, Star Wars Rebels, and then I think it made it into maybe it was just Rebels, but then it showed up here in live action. I think it's the first time we saw that troop transport, that's what it was called, in live action.
It was in episode 8 when the stormtroopers roll up with Moff Gideon.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So it was Rebels and then season 1 and now season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually they steal it to escape, but first I hear an echo. Do you guys hear the echo?
No, man.
Okay. So they discover it's a lab. These 2 Imperials are blasting their control panels to try to hide the information, and they were going after something. They wanted to download or find out something about this place, maybe to learn more about the lab or something. I don't remember.
Well, they were destroying everything because basically, I forget what the scientist's name is. He was saying that they needed more of the child's blood to do more research, but they said the volunteer, which we don't know who the hell that is. I don't know if I think he said to the effect like he didn't know if he'd be up for it without more blood or something to that effect.
Yeah. Well, the donor was the baby, but I think the volunteer was someone else, people that they were augmenting.
No, there was only one. There's only one volunteer, because he didn't say volunteers. He said volunteer. So there's one person. We don't know who it is who volunteered for this research.
Well, I got some theories, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So they show all these pickle jars, and if it was kind of unclear when I was watching it the first time, but later on I saw a picture online, enhanced, brightened up, and kind of cleaned up, and that is Snoke in the pickle jars there in the lab. That is Snoke. He's got the little shriveled ear. He's got the crack in his head. He's got kind of the gaunt body. Looks real tall. So they're trying to tie this into the sequels. Maybe this was a cloning facility. They were trying to, clone a body that could hold Palpatine's spirit.
I don't think it was. So
it was Snoke.
Well, no, I agree with you. It was Snoke, but I think what they were trying to do is see if they can inject somebody with the Force. Right.
Because he's so they pull up that hologram of the cloner from the first season, the guy that was working on Baby Yoda, and he's talking about the donor's M count. They don't have enough blood because the donor didn't have enough blood because he's so small, and then the volunteer rejected the blood, and so So my theories is kind of along the lines of Jedi Outcast, the old video game, when they were infusing troops with the Force. See what I'm saying? And they were called shadow troopers in the game. They were kind of imbued with the Force, and they had red lightsabers. Really, they were created for the game, so you had someone to fight against with lightsabers.
Right.
But it's a cool concept. I really like it. Obviously, this Baby Yoda has a high M count or midichlorian count in his blood. And I know a lot of people hate the idea of midichlorians, but it's part of Star Wars at this point. It's been 20 years. Yeah. So they got all these Snokes in there. They blow up the base. They're escaping in the troop transport, and all these speeder bikes start chasing them. And it's one of the coolest chase scenes in all of Star Wars, dude. It was so awesome. Don't complain about it.
No.
Okay.
No. I have no complaint. Yo, honestly, I have no complaints about it. That was freaking awesome because they made them come out look like badasses. To the one dude just crashed his speeder and crashed everybody. I'm like, oh, here you go. You gotta be that one guy who crashed his bike and crashes everybody else on the hill. Like, yo, because they came out like badass. I'm like, yeah, we gonna get these fools. Woo, woo. Oh, damn it, Jimmy.
He must have been a member of the Tico family because both Rose and her sister both crashed. But yeah, I mean, it was awesome. These speeder bikes, scout troopers flying through the canyon, chasing them in the troop transport. And Was it Cara Dune that manned the cannon? Yeah, she manned the cannon.
No,
She
no,
was
Grief.
She was
piloting.
driving. Yeah.
Yeah,
Grief
she was
Karga
driving.
manned the cannon, just started taking them out, and then the TIE fighters started coming in as the base was exploding.
Yeah.
And
Like you outrunning TIE fighters, like come on, like that was a little.
well, they weren't. The TIE fighters were just circling, making passes.
Well, no, they weren't circling them. They were like following them into the canyon. Like if you're
Yeah.
a TIE fighter, you're not going to follow. Like think of it this way: if you're in the canyon, all we got to really do is shoot the rocks ahead of you,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That would make more sense. But once again, we're dealing with stormtroopers here, so
Well, there was a couple scenes I thought that's what they were doing because they were like shooting the walls of the canyon because they were missing, and rocks were falling. I'm like, oh, they're trying to shoot the rocks,
that's what I thought
But-
too.
Yeah, but in the meantime, the Mandalorian took off with his jetpack. He was gone.
Yeah.
And it looks like their cannon on the troop transport gets taken out. It looks like it's the Inform. The TIE fighters are closing in, and out of nowhere, boom, Razor Crest. He shows up in the Razor Crest. So that jetpack got him back to Grief Karga's town real fast. Got his Razor Crest, came back, dogfight with the TIE fighters, took him out, saved the day. It was cool. I
Hold on,
realized
you can't glance. Hold on, let's not even glance over what Mando was doing in that damn Razor Crest. My boy was flying like he was Anakin
Yeah.
Skywalker
Oh,
in his younger days. He's like, yo, let me go ahead and show you what this thing can really do when it's fixed up. Let me pop the airfoils out for you. Come back down on you.
that's that Top Gun. It was that Top Gun move, right?
Yep.
It hit the brakes and they'll fly right by.
Actually, you know what? It reminded me of Star Fox. Do a barrel roll, Fox barrel roll.
Oh, man, that was so long ago. Yeah. So they get back to town. Baby Yoda's already in the ship somehow.
Mhm.
So he had time to fly back, get Baby Yoda from the school or wherever he was in the Razor Crest, come back, blow up the TIE fighters. He's doing all these crazy maneuvers, and pretty soon Baby Yoda, blah, right, just
Right.
pukes up those blueberry macaroons, and he's like cleaning it up.
Yes, little mofo.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
the Razor Crest is that maneuverable to take on those TIE fighters, but I'll let it pass.
Right.
Yeah.
It was good. Like I'll get that was some good skill. That was some good flying.
And
I'm not gonna lie.
Paul Hughes, he brings up a good point. Mandalorians are skilled pilots.
There you go.
I think at one point he said, "Spinning's a good trick. Let's try that." Didn't he say that? No.
I don't
Yeah,
remember.
Anakin said that.
Oh, right. Okay.
All right, what was it? What was I going to say? So, okay, so this is where I can come in with what I think is going to happen. So, I think since
Well, hold on. We got to get
Okay.
to the point. They cut to Grief
Oh, sorry.
Karga on his ship, and he's in one of those Imperial cruisers.
Hmm.
They're kind of shaped like a Star Destroyer, but they got the cutouts on the sides a little bit, which is like a Clone Wars style ship.
Yeah.
It's like Clone Wars era.
Oh no, hold on. Before you got to that,
Yeah.
So the Rebel Alliance, the pilot that we just seen, I
Yes.
forget his name.
I'll get it. Go ahead.
He comes in, finds out he's asking Grief Karga. He's like, "Yo, what happened here?" He's like, "What about the Razor Crest?" He's like, "I never say anything about the Razor Crest. What are you talking about?"
Yeah, that was Captain Carson Teva,
Yes,
played by
Captain
Paul Sun Hyun Lee. I think I'm
And-
pronouncing that right.
And then he sees Cara Dune. He's talking to her. He's like, "I heard you had, you're from Alderaan, She's like, "Yeah, had family there." And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I was there when, everything was going down." And she's like, "Well, yeah." He's like, "Well, if you ever want, fight, the good fight," he hands her a Rebel Alliance badge. I was like, "Oh shoot." So
Yeah.
I have a feeling that this is one of my theories. I have a feeling this is how they're going to write her out if they have to.
Probably, but I just want to say something about that scene when he says from Alderaan. Did you lose someone? And she's like, I lost everyone.
Right.
She lost everyone. And that one line of dialogue made her so much of a better character.
Mm-hmm.
It made her relatable. Obviously, her entire planet was destroyed. She lost her whole family, which probably gave her the motivation to join up with the Rebel Alliance, become an elite shock trooper, right? And then all of a sudden the war's over. What does she do now?
Yeah.
And so that, it just filled out her backstory, made her a better character, a character I already liked.
It's just funny that how they reference Alderaan. Like, yo, you reference a full-on planet that got destroyed.
Yeah.
That's floating somewhere.
Yeah.
It's floating somewhere in space.
Paul said my favorite part was when Mando flew off in the Razor Crest and yelled about how he hated sand. It's coarse and rough and gets everywhere.
It does. This ain't that whack Tatooine place.
Yeah. So he flies off with Baby Yoda, and I assume, and it's a pretty good assumption because Dave Filoni is directing the next episode, that they're flying. Yeah, they're going to go meet up with Ahsoka. We will see Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka in Chapter 13.
But before that, we cut back to the Imperial ship.
That was the last scene of the show.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, I don't know who these officers are, but these are the most determined officers to keep the Empire going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She was like, "Did you do your job?" He's like, "Yeah, I played your trace." Oh, hey, can we start with hello? How you doing? He's like, "No, I did my job. It's on it." She's like, "Good, cut that shit." Like, dang, cut my man. What if he has more information? All right, just gonna cut him off.
And that's the guy that I think could be Ochi from Episode 9 because they're both Mimbanese from Mimban.
Well, it's definitely a hint at the New Order because there are no female officers in the Empire until you see this chick.
Right.
Well, there isn't in the movies, but I mean,
in the movies,
inside stories there is. Even in canon.
In the original trilogy, there were no female troops in the Empire.
So that's why they're getting choked out.
We're starting to see that transition, I think, from Empire to First Order. And so Moff Gideon's there, and he's in this room, and it's lined with these black silhouettes, and they kind of pan And if you're listening to the audio, what do they call it for the hard of hearing? Descriptive audio track. It says they say Dark Troopers revealed or confirmed.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I know. As Wingaloo said, was just saying the same thing. Like Dark Troopers confirmed. If you watch the episode on Disney Plus with audio tracks set to English, audio description for the visually impaired, the narrator describes them as Dark Troopers.
Yep.
So tell us what those are.
So there's a couple different versions of Dark Troopers, I think. There's the Shadow Troopers, which I described earlier. And then there's the Dark Troopers, which started out as basically souped up battle droids. And then there were some that became like basically Iron Man, like suited stormtroopers, and like, cybernetic enhancements. And then eventually, Dark Troopers were a group of elite stormtroopers empowered with the dark side of the Force used by the Dark Empire during Operation Shadowhand. So they received limited Force training that made them far deadlier than the average trooper.
And the ones in that scene look like droids.
Right. So here's what I am hypothesizing. Okay. We know Snoke was just a puppet for the Emperor, right? He was basically just a face for the Emperor. I'm thinking, and Dark Troopers are large. Like there was Dark Troopers that were very large. I'm thinking that Snoke might have just been a clone or clones that they were trying to infuse with dark side power and put into these cybernetic stormtrooper suits, right? Because I don't think we're going to get the exact Dark Troopers we had in the old expanded universe. I think this will be Disney's canon version of Dark Troopers.
Right.
I'm thinking because he was so tall, and those Dark Troopers they showed on Greef Karga's ship were a lot taller than him. They could have been up on a platform, but if their feet were at level with his feet, they were really tall. And so I'm thinking maybe that's it. Maybe not. Maybe they're just, I hope they're not just battle droids, I hope it's something to do with infusing troopers with dark side energy, putting them in these cybernetically enhanced suits, so that they have maybe some limited force powers. Maybe they have lightsabers, something for Ahsoka to go up against, right?
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
Paul says, wasn't the female officer in the last scene the same female member who led the Inferno Squad in Battlefront 2? She looked familiar, but I can't remember if she was because I didn't play Battlefront 2, so I can't say for sure. But she did look familiar. Like I know I've seen her somewhere else, and I just cannot put my hand on it, like where I've seen her before.
Look at a picture of Moff Gideon looking at those troopers, and they look like they are raised up, but also that their legs are bent. So maybe if they were extended, they would still be around like the same height.
Right.
But they are like a good foot taller than him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see. I got it pulled up here. But I mean, that's one theory. I'm thinking they need Baby Yoda's blood with the higher M count to use to, try to infuse these clones with force powers. Maybe the Snoke we see in the sequel trilogy is one that worked out better.
I'm thinking that's a volunteer.
Could be the volunteer. Like that one worked out, so Palpatine was able to use him as the face of the First Order. I just really hope they're not just robots. I hope they're enhanced,
They could be robots in disguise.
Let's not. No, we don't want that.
Yeah,
I just hope they're somehow enhanced, clones or humans or volunteers. And I'm thinking maybe Snoke was like the base clone.
Right.
Why he's already scarred in the jar, we still don't know. Why he's already all messed up. But we'll see. Even Starkiller, they cloned him, and it was real hard. It was hard to make clones of force-sensitive beings. They either went crazy, they died, or they had physical defects. We know that from Force Unleashed 2.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're going to bring some of that in. It's just a really cool idea. I'm glad they're bringing it in. I hope, like I said, they're not just droids like the first Dark Troopers were.
What if Snook is Starkiller? A clone of like a random clone of Starkiller. That's the volunteer.
It wouldn't explain why he's so big.
Yeah, because he's like 8 feet tall.
Yeah, he's very tall. Yeah.
I know you dabbling and cloning,
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. They definitely want Baby Yoda back to keep on, keep these experiments going. Obviously, they probably don't have it right yet. Moff Gideon, his chest plate, his chest armor looks a lot like the ones that are on the Dark Troopers.
Well, they're saying like he's like more looking trying to look, I guess, like Vader.
Yeah, maybe some of that's cybernetic enhancements like Vader that he's wearing, because maybe he was injured in the Mandalorian War that we talked about last week, what they're calling the Purge, or maybe he took a lightsaber from Luke at some point post Return of the Jedi.
Here you go. What if it's Ezra as a volunteer?
That's a really good one. That's a really freaking good one, because we know Ezra's still out there with Thrawn, and Sabine and Ahsoka were looking for him. That's a really freaking good one, man. Wow. Thank you.
Now
that was that was John Papa Sergio.
Yes,
I like that guy.
So now that kind of like now I'm thinking more of what you had told me, Ryan. So with Ahsoka renouncing her Jedi, not being Jedi anymore, he takes the child to her, and I think we're going to have that kind of like that same dynamic that we had with Luke in The Last Jedi. She's going to want no parts of it.
She doesn't.
I have a feeling that's what's going to happen, because to make this go on a little bit longer, I think that's what they're going to probably. I have a strange feeling that's what's going to happen. She's going to probably entrust the child in his care, and he's going to have to find somebody else that's going to take care of this kid.
Could be. Now she renounced being a Jedi. That doesn't mean I think she disagrees with the Jedi way. She was unhappy with the organization of the Jedi during the Clone Wars, because
I guess so.
Yeah, well, they accused her with treason, and she was innocent, and no one stood up for her except Anakin. And I I think she still believes in the Jedi way, just not the way the Jedi were conducting themselves at that time. And we know they were they were corrupted by the dark side. Their ability to use the Force was corrupted. They were going against their own dogma by becoming generals in a war. Jedi were peacekeepers. They weren't supposed to be soldiers.
Yeah.
So that was part of their downfall. So I still think, obviously Ahsoka doesn't just all of a sudden lose her Jedi powers because she says,
no, I'm not saying no. I'm just saying I think she's going to go down that route. Like, look, you know what? I'm not the one to train this kid. Mm-hmm. I'm not the one that you should be bringing him to. Like, there's probably other Jedis out there that probably be better fit to train him than me. I'm saying that's what I'm thinking is going to probably happen. I'm not saying that she's like, oh, I'm not Jedi, that. I think that's what's going to happen. I think that's kind of the explanation she'll give of not wanting the child and like not leaving the child with her. Paul says Moff Tractor had a chest plate like Vader for a breathing apparatus, so maybe Gideon has breathing issues.
He could.
John Papa Surgeon also says, I also think Ezra knows of the world beyond worlds. He's going to teleport to the past, and he's the reason why the Old Republic stuff goes down.
He does know of the world between worlds. I don't know if they'll bring that into live action. That might be a little, I don't know. I know a lot of people didn't like that because they considered it time travel. To me, it was like a realm outside of time. And no one really time traveled. They were from different times and they met in the world between worlds. But Ezra and Ahsoka both went back to their own timelines. So I'm not even sure if it's possible to jump into the world between worlds and come out through a different portal into another time. That's not clear yet. And I hope they don't do that.
Right.
But they could. Dave Filoni's done some wacky stuff. Some stuff I really like. Some stuff I'm kind of like, I don't know.
There's some more guesses. Paul says, I'm thinking the Volunteer is probably an old Inquisitor.
That'd be cool.
Born Who says, Ahsoka always seems to like the younglings during the Clone Wars. Yeah,
I'm not sure she'll be... She doesn't seem like the type of character that's going to reject a child.
I'm not saying that...
Yeah.
It's going to be... how to put this? You know how you need that part of this where you need to keep driving the story, the reason why this character is stuck with this character? I think that's the story. That's what we're going to get. Yeah, no, I could totally see her being like, look, I'm not qualified to train this child, but I know someone who is. Yeah. And then they go to Luke, right? The baby ultimately ends up with Luke. Which, if they're gonna, that means Baby Yoda probably died at the Jedi Temple when Kylo threw a tantrum, right? Yeah. Or he wasn't. He's somewhere else. But also, I'm thinking that the child is a clone of Yoda. Somehow, the Emperor got his DNA and cloned Yoda in order to do this. Like, I think this has been in the works for a very long time, decades and decades and decades. And I don't think that if the child was to age naturally, that he's still a baby at 50 years old. I'm thinking he might have been stored in carbonite for a long time. See, they never really explained like where this child actually came from, because he was just tasked to grabbing it. And because it was like a bandits raided ship, right? That's how they got hold of him. Yeah, someone stole him from the Empire, and the Mando tracked him down, and those raiders had him on whatever planet that was, that desert planet. And we never really know who originally stole him from where he was stolen from. Well, we just know he was stolen from the Empire. That's it. Yeah. But yeah, we don't know where from. It could be Navarro, probably Navarro, because that's where the lab is, and that's where the Mando got the job from Grief Karga, who was on Navarro. So, I mean, there were several points during the prequels that the Emperor could have obtained Yoda's DNA. Yoda went to Kamino during the Clone Wars. There was the big fight in the Senate chamber, where they're throwing the platforms at each other, and he grabs one, and as he slides off, his nails are scratching into the paint. Yeah, that's what John Papa Surgeon was saying. Yoda's cloak from Revenge of the Sith. That too. Now they're saying the baby's 50 years old at this point,
The Clone War, Revenge of the Sith was about 30 years before Mandalorian, I think. You got 4, 5, 9, 20, 30. So yeah, about 30 years. So he must, if it is a clone of Yoda, he would have had to obtain the DNA before that in order for him to be 50 years old. But there was also a point where they were using Sifo Dyas's blood for something, and I don't remember what it was. But Jedi Master Sifo Dyas was the one that set up the clone army. He was manipulated by Palpatine, and I think just Palpatine. We're getting into the real deep lore here. Sifo Dyas is only mentioned in the prequels, and I think they showed his dead body in the Clone Wars at one point.
Paul saying
human?
Yeah, he was human, if I remember right.
Paul said maybe perhaps Yaddle's clone.
I mean, sure. That's the only. So they've shown 3 of Yoda's species in all of Star Wars: Yoda, Yaddle, and Baby Yoda. So I think there's not a lot of them out there. I don't think there's a planet full of Yodas anywhere.
No, because I think that his species is like super rare, isn't it?
I think so. They've never gone into detail. That was one thing, when George Lucas was letting other authors come in and write books and comics and that type of thing. The one thing that was off limits was Yoda, his species, and his past. He said, "Don't touch that. Keep it a mystery." So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? Could it be Yoda's clone? And they cloned him for to have a specimen with a high M count, a high midichlorian count.
Could be. I have a feeling that he's a natural born child.
Okay.
And they probably just found where he was born at and took him.
The Empire did.
Yeah.
Yeah, could be.
I just don't like how they're trying to bridge everything over to the sequels.
I don't think they're really trying to bridge everything to see. I think they're just like giving little like seeds to the sequels, but it's not entire. This could be entirely on its own without having to be connected to the sequels.
Here's the thing: they can connect it to the sequel. Everyone knows that I don't like. Well, I don't think any of us like the sequels.
No.
Yeah. If they throw stuff in there to try to explain the sequels better, fine. As long as it doesn't take away from the story they're telling now. Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever. Okay, there's Snoke. So what? As long as the story they're telling now is good, I'm happy. Like, that's why I want to see Luke. Do Luke in this time period well. Write him well. Give him a good story. If they even bring him in. I'm still just theorizing here. If they want to tie in the origin of Snoke in the First Order, fine, whatever.
Jeremy said, "I'm not high enough for this."
Well, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's a lot to go through. Yeah, this is a lot deeper because even Paul's like digging. He's digging deep into like the books. He's like, there's 4: Yaddle, Child, and Vandar from Knights of the Old Republic.
Okay, yeah, Vandar. I never played Knights of the Old Republic. I read the Cliff Notes in the Star Wars Encyclopedia of it, so I'm semi-familiar with KOTOR. Mm. But again, Disney de-canonized all that stuff.
Right, and that's the problem.
They can always bring elements of that back, and I think they are bringing elements of the EU back. They have already, and they're doing it now with Mando, with these Dark Troopers.
Yeah. John said, "I'm telling you, Luke's blue lightsaber is going to be given to Mando."
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Why?
It's got to make it to old Butthole Eyes. What's her name?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I forgot.
Yeah. Here's an idea. What if Finn is a perfected clone with Force abilities that was meant to be a Dark Trooper?
I like that too, man. He's coming up with some good theories.
I forgot. But no.
Finn was.
He wasn't a clone. He was
right. He was taken from his parents.
Right.
They established that in the movie. Yeah,
because like in that last one, I forget the freaking name of it. Whatever.
Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of the Skinwalker. Because like supposedly it was maybe Lando's daughter that was in there, and she said how she was taken from her parents. And
Yeah, they all
forced
were.
her abuse. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's been established the First Order was kidnapping children to brainwash them throughout their lives to become servants of the First Order.
Yeah, because they weren't really doing clones at that point. Only of Snook.
Yep, and that's why all the stormtroopers like Finn were so young.
Right.
Because they were taken, post Return of the Jedi, and that's a 30-year gap. So none of them would be over 30 years old. Even the redheaded Nazi guy, he's always yelling.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
I forget.
General Hux.
Hux, yeah.
Hux, yeah. He was young. And he was like second or third in command of the First Order, and he's like 30 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Even though his father was a general in the Empire.
Yeah.
So
that was a weird turn. Like he was supposed to be the spy. Like you would never. That to me, that was some bad writing right there.
Oh yeah. Also, yeah, John Papa Sergio brings up another good point. He said, "Don't forget, Luke was told Vader killed his father from a certain point of view."
When do Jedi not lie?
I know. Yeah, but they set up in those Aftermath books that the First Order was kidnapping and taking children to basically train and brainwash to become the next foot soldier of the First Order.
Okay. He's also saying that Finn's the only stormtrooper face we've seen in the entire sequel trilogy. True, we didn't really see any in the previous ones either.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yep.
New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. We didn't really see any of their faces either. We assume that they're clones.
We hear a lot of their voices, and they're not all voiced by John Boyega, that's for sure.
Right.
Like they had Kevin Smith in there voicing some of them, and Sam Witwer, and they had a bunch of different people voicing
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig, yeah.
Whoa, film, the problem was they didn't develop all the characters. That was a problem. The sequels could have been something better, but it just didn't follow through with development of characters and story. They just kind of threw darts at a board and said, "Here we go."
Yeah, they just let each filmmaker do what they want. So I think, and here we go again with the sequels, but I think JJ had an overall outline or plan for the 3 movies.
Mm-hmm.
And then he dropped out and Rian Johnson came in and said, "I'm going to do something else." And Kathleen Kennedy said, "Yeah, go ahead, do whatever you want." And he totally changed everything, right?
Like, how'd you not look at that before you started?
I don't know. Rian Johnson didn't care. He wanted to do his own thing. He wanted to make a movie that would please half the people and piss off half the people. And then they realized, oh crap, we're not making money on these movies anymore. Solo bombed at the box office. So they begged JJ to come back, and he's like, well, let me try to get it back in line to what I had in mind, what the story would go. And so it's just this weird, like nonsensical cluster of plot points and plot holes, and it's just a mess.
Yeah, clusterfuck.
Yeah, and John Papa Sergio said it right there. The biggest issue with the sequels is there was no set plan.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, they kept on having to explain why Rey was powerful. They never did it in the movies.
Right.
How did she learn how to mind trick a stormtrooper? All of a sudden, she could just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, we're going to make a comic book and explain it in the comic 6 months after the movie. It's like, okay.
All right.
So, yeah. So I give this episode another 9 out of 10. Solid. Yeah. I wouldn't change much about it.
I'm good with that.
Yeah. It was good, man. I like the direction the show's going. I like the story. Even with the sequel elements in it, that's not bothering me right now. I got kind of excited when I saw Snoke. I'm like, oh, they're going to explain this guy. Okay, cool.
It'd be nice if they start introducing other characters from the expanding universe. So,
agreed. Hey, if they're bringing in Dark Troopers, maybe we'll see a Kyle Katarn.
Yeah, somebody said that earlier. I was hoping for that as well.
Yeah, there could be a handful of quasi Jedi out there.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll all come under the umbrella of Luke Skywalker, and we'll have a proper Jedi Academy like we did in the expanded universe.
Well, we'll see if there's an episode this week. It's kind of weird that they still show an episode this week. I don't know.
Yeah, according to IMDb, we are getting one on this Friday.
All right.
And I don't know.
Hope so.
IMDb doesn't have the title of it, but I heard it's called The Jedi. So referring to Ahsoka.
Let's see. Yeah.
And it says airs November 27th. So we'll see. I'll be up early Friday to watch it. It lists Sasha Banks is in this episode. Again, this is IMDb. It can be edited by anyone. This could all be wrong. But
Sasha Banks, I don't think she's. I think she was only supposed to be in that one episode.
Yeah, Wikipedia still says November 27th.
Yep. Again, another website that can be edited by anyone.
True.
But I haven't heard them say they're taking a week off. I haven't seen anything official. I think this Friday is a go.
But it was written and directed by Dave Filoni.
Yes, and that's why I'm pretty certain we're going to see Ahsoka, because Ahsoka is his baby. That's his character, you know.
Makes sense.
So yeah. So should we sign off?
Yep, that's it. Unless you got anything else.
That's all. I think I got all my theories out there that I wanted to. Great episode, man. I can't wait for the next one.
I'm telling you. Ty, anything?
Easily as good, if not better than the previous one.
Oh, yeah, we did forget about one thing. Forgot about my man, Jeans Guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Jeansy.
Well, I'm sure everyone's seen that because that's everywhere. Someone even made a mock-up of a Black Series figure of Jeans Guy.
Yes.
With the wall in front of him. That was funny. Yeah, some grip was in the background. He didn't get off the set in time.
And nobody knows. What was funny, like, nobody knows, like, oh, my freaking goodness. Like, this is a Coffeegate scandal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's I think it might fall more on the editor than Carl Weathers.
Yeah,
because they're supposed to look at frame by frame and see is there anything fucked up.
Hey, give it a little bit. I won't be surprised if we go back and watch this episode at a later date and he's CGI'd out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's easy to do nowadays.
Judd said, FYI, I'm Jeans Guy, and I signed for a reoccurring role. Someone said it was Steve the Radar Tech. Was it Steve the Radar Tech, the Kylo Ren SNL skit? I think it was Steve. Anyway.
Oh, look at that. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna be a TIE fighter pilot. Yes.
Ooh,
congratulations.
John Papa Sergio with more heat. He said, I heard Michael Biehn is playing Dengar.
Nice.
Michael Biehn is,
John Connor.
No. He's
Kyle Reese.
Kyle Reese, yeah, from Terminator. That would be really cool.
That'd be very cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Well, no Infinity Equation this week.
No. So y'all be safe. Have a happy Thanksgiving. And don't be out there fighting with these people on Black Friday. Just shop at home online. Be safe. Don't be fighting with nobody out there. It's not even worth it.
And go check your targets because Storm started showing up today.
Storm, eh?
Oh, that's right. Street date is officially on Sunday.
Yeah, they got cases of White Suit Storm, Rogue, and Gambit.
My target had 5 to 6 boxes of Storm and Thunderbird sets sitting on the shelf.
Wow.
Yeah, but I'm talking the retro White Suit Storm on the retro card. They're getting those in. Yeah. My target is swamped with Storm and Thunderbird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then that's right. The release pre-order today went up for Grief Cardigan and the Child, the 3 3/4 inch.
Come on, we don't collect that shit.
I don't, but somebody may. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, like, you gonna lose a piece to the Child. Like that thing is gonna be super small.
Oh yeah.
I mean, look at this Black Series. Look how small that is.
Yeah.
So half this size, he's going to be the size of that damn frog in here.
And he comes with a frog too.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Which is even wild.
If you take him off card, he's going to be in the vacuum cleaner.
Yep.
That's it.
So don't give them to your kids.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Andrew. I wish you well, sir. I work to work Friday, but I'm off Thursday. I know those days of working holidays, they suck.
Yeah, hopefully you don't work in retail. That's the worst.
Yeah. Hurt my turkey is dry. See, I said you were hilarious. Now I just had to take that back, Judd.
Oh.
John Marcus is like, I regret passing on the Razor Crest on my trademark has left something for one.
You might find someone to do that.
Yeah. There's somebody desperate. There's
A lot
desperate.
of people.
Go ahead.
A lot of people bought multiples of the Sentinel just to, flip. So.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going back and watching Clone Wars like I am, keep your eyes peeled. In season 2, you'll get to see the Razor Crest.
Yeah.
Or a similar ship. Yeah.
Probably works at the casino.
Okay. I believe you. Sorry.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're out of here. Y'all have a good night. Stay safe. And we'll see you in next week.
Later.
Later.